I found a stack of cash on the street, tried to return it, and ended up getting sued. So this happened a few weeks ago, and I still can't believe how absurd it all turned out. I, 26M, was walking home from basketball practice at my local court. It was around 9 p.m., and the streets were quiet. As I was heading down a side street, something caught my eye on the ground. At first, I thought it was just a crumpled receipt or a wrapper, but when I bent down, I realized it was a stack of cash, at least a couple $1,000s, neatly bundled. My first thought was, whoa, this is not mine. I looked around. There was no one in sight. No one chasing, no bag left nearby, just this stack of money lying on the pavement. My heart raced a little, but I immediately knew I had to do the right thing. I've never been the type to keep money that doesn't belong to me. So, I did what I thought was reasonable. I posted on the local neighborhood app, describing the amount vaguely, without mentioning exact numbers, and said that the owner could claim it by verifying some details. The next day, I got a message from a woman claiming to be the owner. She seemed genuinely anxious and asked if I could meet her at a nearby coffee shop to return the money. I agreed. I grabbed the cash, put it in an envelope, and walked to the coffee shop. I wasn't worried, it was just money, right? I just wanted to return it and be done with it. When I arrived, she looked intense. Like someone who had been preparing for a showdown. She went over the cash, counted it, nodded, and thanked me profusely. I thought that was the end of it. The shock. 2 weeks later, I get a letter from her lawyer. My stomach sank. I opened it and nearly fell over. She was suing me. According to her, I had caused her emotional distress by picking up her money in public without her permission, and by walking with it from the street to the coffee shop, I had allegedly put her at risk of theft. She demanded not only the money back, which I had already returned, but also additional damages. I couldn't believe it. I went from trying to do the right thing to being accused of a crime. The court experience. The day of the hearing, I walked into the courtroom wearing my basketball hoodie, because yes, I went straight from practice. I was nervous, but I told myself I was innocent. Her lawyer went first, describing how recklessly I had handled her money. I couldn't hold back. I explained that I found the money, tried to contact her through official channels, and only returned it when verified. I didn't touch the cash for personal gain, and I certainly didn't threaten her or anyone else. The judge looked unimpressed by her arguments. Honestly, even some of her family members in the courtroom were whispering to each other, clearly skeptical of her case. The resolution. After about an hour, the judge dismissed the lawsuit. He even lectured her a little, saying that filing frivolous lawsuits wastes everyone's time and that I had acted reasonably. I walked out of the courthouse feeling a mix of relief and disbelief. I had literally just tried to do the right thing, and I ended up having to defend myself in front of a judge. Since then, I've been sharing this story with friends, and they all tell me the same thing, only you would get sued for returning someone's money. After the court dismissal, she didn't stop. I thought the worst was over after the judge dismissed her lawsuit. I had literally returned the money, acted responsibly, and yet. I was about to learn that some people never accept being wrong. The day after the court decision, I started getting texts from strangers. They were short, weird messages. You think you're smart? Watch yourself. People like you don't get away with things. I ignored them at first, but then it escalated. My social media accounts were flooded with comments from people claiming to know the truth about the situation. Someone even made a fake post on a neighborhood forum, saying that I had stolen thousands and lied to the police. I realized quickly that she was trying to ruin me publicly. It was insane. I hadn't done anything wrong, I had followed the law, I had documented everything, and yet she was painting me as the villain. Threats and harassment. Then came the in-person incidents. One evening, as I was walking home from basketball practice, again, I noticed a car slowly following me. I turned down a few streets, and the car kept tailing me. Another day, someone left an envelope on my doorstep with a note that read, "You'll regret this. Money doesn't forgive." Inside, there were a few crumpled bills. Clearly from the same stack she claimed was hers. At that point, I called the police. They took reports, gave me advice about restraining orders, and suggested I keep all communications documented. My strategy. I realized I couldn't ignore this. If she kept escalating, it could spiral out of control. So I did a few things. 1. Document everything. Every text, call, email, and social media comment went into a folder on my phone. 2. Restraining order. My lawyer helped me file a temporary restraining order. It was approved quickly because of the harassment and threatening messages. 3. Public record. I contacted the local neighborhood app admins to remove her posts and comments. I also started documenting the initial encounter, every step of the money return, the meeting at the coffee shop, even the court dismissal, just in case she tried to escalate legally again. The confrontation. Eventually, she showed up at the neighborhood park where I often played basketball. She walked up confidently, waving her phone, clearly trying to intimidate me. I stayed calm. I took a picture of her, sent it to my lawyer, and called the police. She tried to argue in front of the officers, saying, "He stole my money and lied about it. Everyone should know." But the officers already had my documentation. She was warned on the spot for harassment, and for the first time, I could see she realized she wasn't going to win this game. Moving forward. After a few weeks, the harassment slowed. The neighborhood forum posts were gone, her text stopped, and I finally felt some relief. I learned a few things from this whole ordeal. 1. Doing the right thing doesn't always protect you from crazy people. Even when I returned the money honestly, she tried to turn the situation against me. 2. Documentation is everything. Keeping records of every interaction saved me multiple times. 3. Support matters. My friends, family, and lawyer were crucial. I couldn't have navigated this alone. Now, every time I walk home from basketball practice, I double-check my surroundings, but I'm no longer afraid. I know I did the right thing, and that's what matters. The chaos that followed. After the court dismissed her frivolous lawsuit, I thought life would finally return to normal. I was wrong. Very, very wrong. At first, it was subtle. She posted cryptic messages on social media about people who think doing the right thing makes them heroes, and tagged some local neighborhood accounts. Then she started emailing friends and coworkers I barely knew, implying that I was untrustworthy, dishonest, and possibly involved in theft. I realized quickly, she wasn't just mad about the money. She was obsessed with punishing me for being honest. Online war. Within a week, there were multiple fake accounts commenting on my posts, saying things like, "He stole money from a woman in broad daylight. Don't trust him. Why is no one reporting this fraud?" It got worse. Someone made a GoFundMe pretending to be her, claiming she had lost thousands of dollars due to this man's theft and asking the community to help her. People in my neighborhood were confused, some even messaging me, asking for my side. I couldn't ignore it. I had to take action. 1. Collected screenshots of everything. 2. Reported the fake GoFundMe, which was taken down in 24 hours. 3. Blocked her accounts and any accounts she created. But the harassment wasn't just online. In-person intimidation. A week later, while heading to basketball practice, I noticed a familiar car following me slowly. It was the same make and model she drove when we met to return the money. My heart sank. She started appearing in places I frequented, my local grocery store, the gym, even outside my apartment complex. Once, she knocked on my door at 10 p.m., claiming she just wanted to clarify some details about the money. My lawyer advised me to never interact with her directly and to call the police immediately. The officers advised filing a restraining order, which I did. The temporary order was granted, preventing her from contacting me or coming within 100 meters of my home, work, or basketball court. Escalation to legal threats. Not satisfied with harassment, she sent my lawyer an email threatening another lawsuit, this time claiming emotional trauma, and alleging I intentionally caused public humiliation by posting about returning the money. I was speechless. I had acted legally and ethically. But her new claim was framed as if I had orchestrated some public spectacle. My lawyer laughed at the absurdity but advised me to respond formally, document everything, and be prepared in case she filed. Meanwhile, the stress began affecting my life. Sleep became difficult because I kept imagining her lurking outside my apartment. I started taking different routes to basketball practice and work, constantly looking over my shoulder. Friends tried to help, but some began asking me why I didn't just keep the money, which added insult to injury. Turning the tables. I knew ignoring her completely wasn't enough. I had to take proactive steps. 1. Neighborhood warning. I contacted the local neighborhood watch and shared her restraining order details. They agreed to monitor suspicious activity. 2. Legal documentation. Every single text, email, or social media comment from her was saved and timestamped. My lawyer advised this could be used if she escalated further. 3. Community awareness. I posted a factual account on the neighborhood forum, calmly explaining that I found money, returned it, and that any harassment or false claims were ongoing. No emotional language, just facts. To my surprise, the response was overwhelmingly supportive. People started reporting her behavior rather than believing her lies. Several neighbors even reached out privately, saying they had seen her lingering near my apartment and would corroborate if needed. Confrontation and police intervention. Things came to a head one Saturday. I was leaving the basketball court when I saw her waiting near the parking lot. She stepped in front of me, waving her phone and shouting, "You think you can humiliate me and get away with it? Everyone's going to know the truth." I calmly stepped back and called 911. The police arrived within minutes. She tried to argue, claiming I was the one harassing her. But when officers saw her social media posts, emails, and restraining order violations, they warned her she would be arrested if she continued. She left, screaming, but this time I knew it was finally the beginning of the end. Life after the nightmare. Weeks passed. She stopped showing up in public and online harassment slowed to almost nothing. The restraining order became permanent after a court review, which meant she couldn't come near me, my home, or my regular places without facing jail time. I returned to my normal routine, playing basketball, hanging out with friends, and going about my life. I even volunteered at a local youth league, telling the story, without revealing her identity, as a cautionary tale about honesty, ethics, and the absurdity some people bring into life. I learned a few things I'll never forget. 1. Doing the right thing doesn't guarantee peace. Some people will create drama regardless. 2. Documentation is power. Every screenshot, email, and record saved me multiple times. 3. Support networks matter. Friends, family, and legal advice were critical. 4. Boundaries are essential. The restraining order was the only way to truly protect myself. Now, when I walk home from basketball practice, I'm no longer looking over my shoulder. I still laugh at the absurdity of the situation. Only in a way that reminds me, honesty may bring unexpected challenges, but it's always worth it in the end. The relentless obsession. Even after the restraining order was made permanent, I knew she wasn't done. Some people don't understand boundaries, and she proved that she belonged in that category. It started subtly at first. Flyers appeared around my neighborhood, anonymous, of course, claiming that I was untrustworthy and stole from a neighbor. She created multiple fake social media profiles, messaging friends, co-workers, and acquaintances, spinning wild stories about me keeping the money, threatening her, or even falsifying the court proceedings. She even contacted the local basketball league, where I practiced regularly, trying to warn them about me. At this point, it was no longer about money. It was about control, reputation, and humiliation. She wanted to dominate the narrative, to turn the story into my downfall. Psychological warfare. I started noticing things that felt off. My mailbox would be slightly ajar when I returned from work. Random knocks late at night. The feeling of being watched when jogging in the park. It wasn't extreme yet, but the tension was constant. I began sleeping with one eye open, checking security cameras, and always making sure my phone was charged in case I had to call the police. Friends suggested moving, but I wasn't going to let her chase me away from my own life. I realized she was trying to break me emotionally. She wanted me afraid, anxious, guilty, to force me to apologize or somehow make amends for doing the right thing. Legal escalation. I met with my lawyer again, and we decided to file a harassment injunction, citing repeated violations of the permanent restraining order and ongoing defamation. We compiled social media posts, emails, messages from third parties, and the flyers. We collected witness statements from friends, neighbors, and even strangers who saw her lurking near my apartment and the basketball court. The goal was to make it clear to the court that her behavior wasn't minor, it was a sustained campaign against me. The day of the hearing, I brought every piece of evidence. She tried to argue she was only clarifying facts, but the judge didn't even let her finish. The harassment injunction was granted immediately. She was legally prohibited from contacting me, posting about me, approaching me, or even discussing me publicly without risking jail time. Unexpected ally. During this ordeal, something surprising happened. Some of the neighbors she tried to manipulate came forward. One older man told me he had seen her leave threatening notes and knew about her fake social media accounts. Another woman admitted she was initially confused by her posts but now understood that I had done nothing wrong. Their support made a huge difference. It felt like the community was finally acknowledging that I wasn't the problem, she was. Turning the page. With legal protections in place and the neighborhood aware of her manipulations, the harassment finally stopped. Slowly. The flyers disappeared. The fake accounts were deactivated. The late-night knocks ceased. I returned to my regular routine, basketball, work, friends, and even dating again, without constantly looking over my shoulder. The relief was enormous. I realized something important. Standing up for yourself and documenting everything isn't just about protecting yourself in the moment, it's about reclaiming your life from someone who thrives on chaos. Reflection. Looking back, I can't believe how much effort it took to just do the right thing. I found money, returned it, and ended up in a multi-layered psychological battle with someone obsessed with control and revenge. But I also learned resilience. Boundaries are non-negotiable. Evidence is everything. Never underestimate documentation. Support networks matter. Friends, neighbors, and professionals can make a huge difference. Some people will escalate, but legal and social tools exist to protect yourself. Now, months later, I can laugh about the absurdity, only now it's tinged with relief. I did the right thing. I faced the consequences she tried to force upon me. And in the end, I reclaimed my life. Life back on track. It's been about 6 months since the last court ruling and the harassment officially stopped. The restraining order is permanent, and the authorities made it very clear, any further contact from her would result in immediate arrest. Life finally feels normal again. I go to basketball practice without anxiety, walk home without checking over my shoulder, and even sleep through the night without fear. The neighborhood knows the truth, that I returned the money honestly and that she was the one causing chaos. Some neighbors even apologized for doubting me at first. I've focused on my own life, spending time with friends, getting back into hobbies I'd avoided because of stress, and even planning a small vacation. I still laugh sometimes when I think about the absurdity of the whole situation. Getting sued for doing the right thing is something I never expected. The best part? I learned something invaluable. Doing the right thing is always worth it, even if it brings unexpected challenges. In the end, integrity wins, and people who thrive on chaos eventually expose themselves. I still keep the memory of that night I found the money as a reminder of how small decisions can spiral, but also how standing firm in honesty and documenting everything can protect you. Life is peaceful again. I returned the money. I defended myself. And now, I finally get to just live.